This story isn't just about a soldier or a president. It's about how one request from a wounded hero turned into a nationwide movement of recognition. When a nurse who had no rank, no uniform, and no fame stepped into the battlefield. She didn't just save a life, she changed a country. It was a cool and breezy spring morning at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. President Donald Trump, known for his impromptu visits to military hospitals, arrived without any prior announcement. Secret Service agents moved swiftly around him, yet his gaze wandered thoughtfully through the corridor, as though searching for someone or something important. Inside room 309, Staff Sergeant Nathan Cole, 29, sat upright on his hospital bed. He was recovering from serious injuries sustained in a recent overseas mission. The ambush that nearly took his life had cost him a portion of his right leg, but it had saved 3 fellow soldiers. Though his military journey had ended, his pride remained unshaken. When President Trump stepped into the room, the nurse immediately stood to attention. Nathan tried to adjust himself, his face tightening from pain. "At ease, soldier," Trump said, surprisingly gentle in tone. Nathan managed a slight smile. "Didn't think I'd be seeing you here, sir." Trump pulled a chair up beside him. "I'm here to thank you. Men like you, you're the backbone of this country." There was a pause before Nathan spoke again, quieter this time. "Sir, I have one favor to ask, but it's not for me." Trump raised an eyebrow. "Go on. There's someone you need to meet. Someone you might not expect," Nathan said hesitantly. The president leaned in. Nathan reached into his bedside drawer and took out a photograph. In it was a young woman, likely no older than 25, with soft, kind eyes and auburn hair tucked neatly behind her ears. A civilian medical badge clipped to her shirt identified her only as a volunteer. "She's a field medic," Nathan explained. "Her name is Ava. She volunteered with our unit through a civilian relief program. Not military, no pay. She just showed up to help." Trump studied the photo. "She saved you." Nathan nodded. "After the explosion, I was unconscious, bleeding out fast. My team was pinned and couldn't reach me. But she sprinted through open fire, pulled me behind cover, and stopped the bleeding. Held pressure on my wound for over an hour." The president's expression grew serious. "That's rare courage." Nathan continued. "She got hit by shrapnel in her shoulder. But she didn't leave me. She even carried me to the evac chopper herself. No one talks about her. She doesn't want credit. She doesn't even want to be known." "So, what's your request?" Trump asked, now in a quieter voice. Nathan looked him in the eye. "I want you to meet her, hear her story. Not for medals, she doesn't care about that. But people like her deserve to be seen." Trump leaned back in his chair, nodding thoughtfully. He didn't say yes, but something had clearly changed in his eyes. 2 days went by. Though Trump's schedule was full of meetings and media obligations, Nathan's words kept echoing in his thoughts. That photo of Ava, a civilian who risked it all, lingered in his mind. Inside the Oval Office, Trump pulled his military aide aside. "I need everything you can find on a woman named Ava, civilian field medic. Served in Kabul." The aide hesitated. "Civilians like her aren't in direct records. Sir, it could be difficult." "I didn't ask how hard it'd be," Trump replied. "I said find her." By the next morning, a file was on his desk. Ava Sinclair, 26, from rural Wyoming, trained trauma nurse, lost her brother in Afghanistan. In response, she joined a humanitarian group working in conflict zones. Number, accolades, no recognition, just quiet, determined service. "She's at a mobile clinic for veterans here in D.C., the aide added. Trump smiled faintly. Perfect. He made a private call, one that would end up making waves far beyond politics. The clinic sat tucked behind an aging community center, squeezed between 2 apartment buildings. Ava stood next to a weathered van, wrapping bandages around the frostbitten hands of a homeless veteran. Dressed in simple scrubs and a beanie, her badge only read, "Nurse Ava." At her request. Trump's motorcade stopped a block away. No media, no entourage, just him and 2 agents. When he approached, Ava looked up and smiled uncertainly. "Your early act figured you might back out," Trump said. She chuckled. "Not after what Sergeant Cole asked. I owe him more than I can ever repay." They sat on a cold bench nearby. Trump asked, "Why do you keep doing this? After everything you've been through?" Ava looked down the alley. "Because too many people forget just because they're home doesn't mean they've stopped needing help. My brother came back, but he wasn't the same. No one noticed. Until it was too late." Trump said nothing. She added, "It's not about medals, Mr. President. It's about being seen." That line stuck with him. Then Trump asked, "Tell me what really happened that day with Sergeant Cole." Ava hesitated. "Most people want a dramatic version. I want the truth," Trump said. She took a breath. "We were helping a village when the convoy was ambushed. Gunfire everywhere. I dropped to the ground. That's when I saw him. He was bleeding badly, and no one could reach him. I just, ran. I didn't think. Even when I got hit the shrapnel, I didn't stop. If I left him, he'd die." Her voice cracked. "I thought I was going to die, too." Trump leaned in, but he kept whispering, even while barely conscious, "Don't leave me." "So I didn't." Silence fell between them. "That's more courage than I've seen in many officers." Trump said softly. Ava gave a bittersweet laugh. "And I'm just a nurse." Not anymore, he thought. That night, in his private quarters, Trump reopened Ava's file. He thought about all the soldiers he had met, all the families who lost loved ones. But Ava, she was something else. No duty, no uniform, no safety net. And yet she ran toward the danger. He thought of his children. What would he want them to do in the face of fear? He picked up the phone. "She's coming to the White House," he told staff. No media, no announcements. When Ava arrived, she wore jeans and a plain black sweater. Trump greeted her personally. "No photographers. No ceremony. You sure about this?" she asked. He nodded. "I didn't bring you here for a medal." He led her into the Roosevelt room, where top military leaders sat in confusion. "This," Trump began, "is Ava Sinclair. She saved the life of a U.S. soldier, and ever since, she's been quietly serving our veterans." Ava blushed, uncomfortable. "She's not here for applause," Trump continued. "She's here to remind us who we overlooked." One by one, generals rose and saluted her. Ava stood still, overwhelmed. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen. Back at Walter Reed, Nathan watched a news clip on TV. It was short, blurry. The headline read, "President meets unknown civilian medic." No name, no interview, but Nathan knew it was her. He smiled. His nurse asked, "Everything okay?" Nathan nodded. "Yeah, something good's finally happening." He never wanted fame. He just wanted her story told. And Ava was that story. The next day, Ava received a handwritten note. It was from Frank, a 74-year-old Vietnam veteran. He had seen the brief clip and recognized her name. Years ago, his grandson had come home from war, broken. Ava had been the nurse who stayed with him every night. "You didn't just heal his wounds," the letter read, "you gave him the will to live." "Thank you," Ava cried. She had spent years moving from place to place, wondering if it made any difference. Now she knew. Behind the scenes, Trump began a quiet effort. Legislation to formally recognize civilians like Ava, nurses, medics, aid workers. He called it the Ava Act. No cameras, no political points, just purpose. "These people serve without armor, without backup, and we erase them from history," he told lawmakers. Momentum grew. One evening, Ava's phone rang. It was Nathan. "You did it," he said. "You got there." "Attention." "No," she said. "You did. You spoke up." He paused. "You know what kept me alive that day?" She smiled. "The medkit I used." "No," he whispered. "Your voice. You kept saying I mattered." She wiped tears away. "And now the world knows," he added. Weeks later, Ava nervously faced a congressional panel. Cameras flashed. Lawmakers asked about her experiences, the ambush, the veterans she treated afterward. She didn't exaggerate. She didn't beg. She told the truth. When she finished, one senator stood. "Thank you, Ms. Sinclair, for showing us what real service looks like." In the Rose Garden at dusk, Trump handed Ava a small, unmarked medal. "This isn't official," he said. "Not from the Pentagon. It's from me. For courage without duty. For service without reward. For saving not one life, but many." She couldn't find words. She hugged him. He didn't step back. Months later, Congress passed the Ava Act, the first law of its kind. Civilians in war zones could now be officially honored. Trump made no announcement, just sent Ava a card. "You changed the world quietly. That's the loudest way." Inspired, donors funded a trauma training school in Wyoming, Ava's home. They named it the Ava Sinclair Center for Courageous Care. Ava visited. Young students gathered around her. "You're why I became a nurse," one girl said. Ava hugged her tightly. "You're why I keep going." Back in D.C., Nathan took his first steps with a prosthetic leg. Ava stood beside him. He winced, then chuckled. "This is tougher than getting shot. Good thing I saved you." "Then," she replied. They both laughed. "Thank you for making the world see," Nathan said quietly. "No," she answered. "You made them listen." Before leaving office, Trump visited room 309 one last time. Nathan had been discharged, but a photo hung on the wall. Nathan and Ava, smiling outside the White House. Trump smiled, then left a note on the nightstand. "Sometimes the greatest leaders don't hold power, they hold hearts." 10 years later, a young boy sat in a classroom, watching a video called "The Nurse Who Changed a Nation." The teacher asked, "What did she teach us?" The boy raised his hand. "That you don't have to be famous to make a difference." That spring, Ava visited her brother's grave. She laid a rose, tears falling silently. Around her, the garden bloomed, the same flowers planted at the Ava Center. She whispered, "You were the reason I started," and in that quiet moment, she felt peace. Sometimes, healing starts with courage. One soldier, one request, and one woman who never wanted to be seen but truly deserved to be. Today, we learned that real heroes don't always wear uniforms. Some walk into fire without ever expecting to be thanked. All it takes is one voice, one act of courage, and the willingness to make a difference, just like Ava did. What would you have done if you were in her place? Tell us in the comments.